Folks, welcome back once again to Indaba Africa. This is Chris coming to you from central Pennsylvania. Breaking news today, the 6th of October, 2020. It's nearly 8:30 a.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. Rapid events unfolding in the Free State in South Africa. That's what this news report is about. First off, let me start this off by saying that breaking news, the reason for going to the press and recording this video now is because there is zero international news coverage of this event in Senekal, South Africa. First off, let me preface this by saying that this is not exactly news that there would be an event today, after it was announced that on Tuesday, the 6th of October, the two suspects in the brutal torture and political murder of young farm manager Brendan Horner, who was 21 years old, in the Free State just a few days ago. When it was announced that it would be an arraignment today in Senekal, people called for those South Africans appalled by this nonsense to show up in presence, to make their presence known, to show their disfavor with what's happening with this political nonsense happening in South Africa. So news media should have been present in force, expecting a large number of people to show up in response. However, they seem to be wildly absent with the exception of News 24, which apparently appears to be relying on local persons sending them footage. But no international news coverage whatsoever. It's now been a couple of hours since events took place and have unfolded. Let me preface this by saying that breaking news can at times be incorrect. Information can be misreported. I'm normally loath to report on events as they unfold, particularly when I'm not on the ground or I do not have a reporter present. However, given the nature of what's going on, also my assessment that it's very likely that the international media will lie about what took place today, I think it's necessary to get something on the record now. Later this morning, I will have Renee Kruger from South Africa on my channel. This was a pre-scheduled broadcast to talk about Heritage Day, which took place last week. She'll be on the channel. We'll be talking about Heritage Day and Afrikaans and Boer culture. Also later today, Ernst van Zyl, the Conscious Kerk, a South African YouTuber and an employee from AfriForum, will be on the channel. Ernst was present and was an eyewitness. I actually have seen footage of him in one of the videos. So he'll be on this evening at 8:30 South Africa time. That's 14:30 Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. So folks, at this hour in Senekal, South Africa, which is a town in the northern part of the Free State, the former Orange Free State, but the Free State in South Africa, which is not far from the location where young Brendan Horner was brutally tortured, stabbed repeatedly, beaten about the head, and hung from a post in what is a clear racially motivated attack in rural South Africa to send a message. Two suspects were arrested. I believe one was 43, one was 32 or 33 years old. They were to be arraigned today and brought to the courthouse. What is clear is that thousands of South Africans turned up. I'll produce a second video in which I'll provide footage of this, folks, but thousands turned up in a peaceful assembly. Farmers, others who have sympathy and support for them, largely white South Africans, but as you can see from the videos, you will see a number of black South Africans who are also there present to observe what's happening or to offer their moral support. Thousands turned up. At some point, it appears that the suspects must have been taken through the courthouse or into the courthouse, and a large number of those present attempted to enter the courthouse and did so successfully in a bit of a push and rush to get inside. Once inside, there was lots of shouting and screaming, people recording from their mobile phones, and that footage will be shown as well. At some point, you hear what appears to be at least two gunshots fired. It sounds as if it's in the building. I can't verify that, waiting for eyewitnesses to confirm that. There were also flashbang grenades, which I saw physically thrown outside the building. However, from the sound of these, they did not appear to be the sound of the flashbang grenades from outside. So apparently someone fired a firearm inside of the courthouse. Some witnesses say that the police did that, but I have no confirmation of that. Needless to say, there was a bit of confusion when that happened. Outside the courthouse, in response, it appears that South African Police Service armored vehicles rushed into the scene recklessly, coming down the road where pedestrians were walking, charging into the scene. Now, I don't have confirmation of this, but I've heard from several witnesses that what happened is the lead vehicle drove towards the courthouse and actually ran into the wall and knocked the wall down. At that point, apparently farmers, angry or at least trying to get the vehicle out of the courthouse, pushed this armored vehicle back. It turned around to leave the scene. Now, if you look close at the bottom of the vehicle on the front by the bumper, you'll see lots of dust and chalk along the bumper, and it appears it's run into something. So perhaps that is an accurate report. Whatever the case is, this vehicle began to flee. The vehicle that had trailed it never entered the courtyard grounds, started backing up down the street, and pulled to a safer location. At some point, there's another video in which a SAPS vehicle is parked in the road with a SAPS police officer standing in the top of the cupola, looking out, clearly visible, and they start to back up with no warning and nearly run into a privately owned vehicle, which is driving safely down the street, hits its horn, and goes around the vehicle. The police vehicle lurches to a stop. You can see it shaking. And then before the police pull forward, the police officer turns and throws a flashbang grenade in the direction of the person who was video recording this. The grenade exploded somewhere very close to the person recording the video, in a very short video, and then the police drive off recklessly. So what I've seen here today is peaceful assembly of South Africans to express their grievances over the violent murder, torture, and political assassination of young Brendan Horner. And what I see from the South African Police Service, and again, this is breaking news, so we may need to have more information, but initially from this, what I see is ill discipline, rash behavior, dangerous conduct, and a cowardly retreat. Specifically, the ill discipline is the SAPS official tossing a flashbang grenade at a group of people who are not endangering them in any way. They're not unlawfully assembling. They're not threatening anyone. They're simply standing on the side of the street, some in the dirt, not even on the street. And this gentleman throws a grenade at them. That's ill discipline. That's rash behavior. Additional rash behavior is the speed at which these armored vehicles came rushing down the street. No horns or sirens flashing to warn pedestrians to get out of the road, just driving at an excessive rate of speed down the street towards a courthouse, and then backing up dangerously without the use of ground guides. Yeah, dangerous conduct on the part of the South African police. And then a cowardly retreat. No one was armed. There are no weapons present. No one's carrying pangas. No one's carrying asigis. No one's carrying any shields. No one is threatening anyone. Many of the people are simply standing around videotaping what's going on, perhaps to be part of history. And yet the South African Police Service responds with force. I saw at least 2 instances of flashbang grenades being used and potentially rounds being fired inside the courthouse. Saw 2 episodes. The one I mentioned and another one near the courthouse. You can see from across the street someone's recording, and the police throw flashbang grenades and disperse a crowd, which doesn't disperse very far because clearly they're not frightened by the police's behavior. Ladies and gentlemen, these are breaking events in South Africa, and this is in response to the arraignment of 2 purported stock thieves, clearly not stock thieves. This is clearly a political assassination. This is domestic terrorism ignored by the government of South Africa for decades now. We heard famously from the president of South Africa himself when he fraudulently stood in front of Bloomberg News a little over 2 years ago in New York City at the United Nations Summit, and he told Bloomberg News in response to Donald Trump tweeting out about farm murders in South Africa that he's misinformed, that there are no farm murders in South Africa, that there are no white farmers murdered in South Africa. Now, the problem with that is it's fiction. It's a lie. In addition to this, we've seen a decade of idiots like Julius Malema encouraging people to murder farmers. We see messages out today on social media of people calling Brendan Horner's death justified because he's a thief. He stole land. He didn't own any land. He was a farm manager. And obviously didn't steal any land. He was born after apartheid was over. So even if he owned land, he would have purchased. It's just idiotic nonsense. But this attempt to push people off the land with terrorism by frightening them continues unabated. We saw in Gauteng just recently a family was assaulted, a father with 4 children, 3 young girls and a son ages 6 to 18, and 9 attackers attacked the farm and threatened to rape all of their children. Can you imagine this? What kind of sick, demented, twisted people behave in this fashion? I just saw moral equivalency taking place in a WhatsApp group in which a South African said, well, you have to understand the reason this is happening is because farm workers are treated poorly and underpaid. Treated poorly and underpaid. Are you serious? Are you serious? Once again, a leftist offering moral equivalency to dismiss a serious issue here. Meanwhile, the police failed to treat farm attacks, which are clearly an orchestrated campaign. Now, there are some that they claim are crimes of passion, crimes of opportunity, crimes of revenge. Absolutely. But the vast majority of these crimes is quite clear based on the evidence available that it's orchestrated. Now, whether it's orchestrated by some masters at some level, that's suspicion and that's conspiracy theory. But what is clear is these things are not isolated events. It's clearly an attempt by people being egged on by political actors to attack people in rural South Africa. And by the way, it's not just white South Africans that are being murdered. Coloreds, blacks, Indians have also been murdered in these attacks. It's endless and it continues. It's shameful. Ladies and gentlemen, at this hour, no international press coverage whatsoever of this event. Any published site have seen nothing Whether it's broadcast on television, that's a different story. I haven't seen that. Unlikely to see that here in the United States. But around the world, we would expect to see some coverage, particularly in the United Kingdom. But at this hour, no coverage, no breaking news. The only available news is live footage from people who are present, eyewitness testimony, as well as a couple of quickly posted blog posts and news reports from South African media. But that's it at this hour. On the 6th of October, 2020 at 8:30 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States, this is a breaking news update about the events in Senekal, Free State, South Africa, where thousands attended a peaceful assembly to show their anger. And in the midst of this, there was some action that took place on the part of some people present. It seems that in an effort to flip over that Casper, that did not happen. It was able to retreat. But there was a police vehicle that was tipped over, and it was eventually lit on fire. So let's see what the international media reports about this event today. We shall see. Folks, this is a breaking news report from Indaba, Africa. I'm Chris, and I hope you found this informative, and hopefully we'll get you up to speed on events as they unfold in Senekal, South Africa. I will do another video with actual footage from the event and offer commentary on that, as well as 2 interviews today, one unrelated to these events, but we'll definitely talk about them. That's with Renee Kruger. We'll be talking about Heritage Day. That's 11 Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. in South Africa and Botswana. And then later today, at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 in Botswana and South Africa, I'll be on the channel with Ernst van Zyl, the conscious clerical, who was present and is an eyewitness to the events that unfolded in Senekal today, folks. If you're not a subscriber, feel free to take a moment to subscribe to the channel by smashing that button right down there. Also, be sure that you toggle the bell icon so that you get notified of updates when YouTube sends them. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a comment. And also, I ask that you smash that like button. Likes drive viewership, and these are important events. And it's important to get the word out there about what's happening in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time, for your patronage, and your patience.